Hello everyone and welcome back to Winter Data Meetup. I hope you are enjoying the insightful talks and discussions we had. Meet Ismael, a skilled data delivery manager, ready to unlock the secrets of becoming a certified data management professional. Join us as he shares insights into building powerful data systems and acquiring formal knowledge essentials for success. Don't miss this change to accelerate your professional growth in the world of data management with Ismael as your guide. Now, before we start the session, I'd like to take a moment to ask you for your support in helping us to grow a community and recognize the speakers. Firstly, if you enjoyed the content we are providing and want to stay updated on future events and talks, please consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons below this video. Now, for something a bit special, in the video description below, you will find the link to the talk page where you can provide your feedback on this talk, give speaker a badge, and rate the session if you like or if you don't like it. Through the session, if you have any burning questions or insights you'd like to share, don't hesitate to type them in the chat box, and our team will be monitoring the chat closely, and we will discuss all collected questions with the speaker after the presentation. Your questions are invaluable. They help us to uh, dig deeper in the topic and provide a bit more comprehensive understanding for everyone. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our speaker as he shares his valuable insights with us. Ismael, floor is yours.
Thank you, Alexander. So I will start with the talk as here it says we are going to talk about my personal path in order to become certified in data management, and I wanted to share with all of you, well, not only the path that I've decided to follow in order to achieve this goal, that I think it's very important for the development of personal development of the data professionals, but also I want to just make some distinction definitions about what is data governance, what is data management. So let's start. So first of all, a little bit about me. So I'm currently data delivery manager for EPAM, at least for almost a year. And even within this year, I've had the chance to work on reference data management and master data management project. So it's this discipline is something that I'm very passionate about, but that's not the only thing that I've done on the past. So I've been working over 20 years already in the data sphere and having multiple roles. That goes even from the data analyst side when I was starting data scientist and now working as data delivery manager. 12 of those years had been in banking. That it's actually one of the industries where data governance and data management have grown in very much importance because of the existence of multiple regulations that the banks needs to meet, and I've had the chance of fighting against them by doing multiple implementations. Actually, the magic words of BCBS 239, that one of those directives from the European Central Bank, was the one that introduced me into this magnificent world. Even though we have been working with that for a very long time, even before. And currently, I'm still on the process to obtain the CDMP certification, and mainly because I'm utterly ambitious and I want to obtain quite a good mark on it. But we will be talking about that on the way moving forward. So this is the content of what we are going to review today. So first, we are going to give just a few hints about what is data governance, and eventually we will untangle what is the difference between data governance and data management. We will see that later. We will go later on into reasons why it is important to certificate in data governance. Later on, we will review what are the main certifications available. This is not an extensive list, but the four that I found like more popular in the data sphere. And finally, one of those is CDMP, Certified Data Management Professional. That's the one that I chose. And I will describe what is the path that I've been following, and also what had been the lessons learned out of all that. So without delaying more, let's start in defining what is data governance. Of course, if we go to the literal words of DAMA, Data Management Association, data governance is this exercise of authority and control over the management of data assets. Within those words, what we are clearly defining is the definition of what needs to be done, how this needs to be done, and who needs to do. So basically, what data governance is doing is establishing the procedures, policies, and standards that an organization needs to have in order to operate with data. So we're talking mainly about an oversight organ in which how the things should be done are being described, and then providing like the recipe for everybody in order to continue. And don't worry if this definition is not super extensive. Actually, there are several definitions of data governance, and throughout the presentation, we will take this one in particular because it is the one more extended within the data sphere. So, but now going a little bit more into details about what data governance contains, or how data governance is contributing to the organizations where it is implemented. The probably most important thing is that data governance, apart from enforcing and setting the policies, procedures, and standards that everybody should follow when operating with data, it's also driving the execution of the data strategy. Whenever the company or the organization already has it, at least they have a compass to follow and guideline on how do they want to operate with data. This definitely helps on improving the data quality, and also defining what are the data architecture standards that the company wants to have. And just making a little bit of pause here, just to continue emphasizing on the fact that data governance is still not executing; it's still defining how everything should be done. On top of that, data governance is going to provide the oversight function. So because it's not only that we set the policies, procedures, and standards, but also with data governance, we are actually auditing and also making the oversight function in order to verify that the rules that were defined are being followed by the people that needs to operate with it. As a consequence, so data governance is going to ensure that we are compliant with the multiple requirements. And if you are working on the data world, you would be familiar with concepts like HIPAA or GDPR or all those kind of regulations. So data governance is actually ensuring or making clear that within its definition, those regulations are met. Also, it defined the procedures in order to manage the issues that will appear with data security, with data access, data privacy. And we will discuss a little bit more in detail later what type of issues and what type of disciplines this data governance indeed will include. As well, data governance will make it possible to support and establishing the organization within the company in order to sponsor the data management practices. So how this is going to execute later on. And last but not least, what data governance is intending to, it's finally extract the business value of the data assets. So what at the end of the day we want to do, it's enforce that we are extracting value of the data. Otherwise, why we are operating with it? And here we come into what is the difference between data governance and data management, and how those concepts are totally intertwined between them. So basically, data governance is creating the oversight function, creating all the rules, procedures, policies. I will insist on mentioning these words probably a little bit more during the presentation in order to make this distinction, while data management is the executing arm of it. So it's the discipline that ensures that everything described on the data governance is in effect processed. And that's the main difference between these two concepts, and the reason why they need each other in order to work. Now, what are different disciplines that are included in data governance? And here is when the data professional that you have been involved in data governance, you will start realizing why data governance is so much needed. So at the end of the day, what data governance is doing, and here, as you can see, I'm taking also from the DAMA International, from Data Management Association, I'm taking the description or the summary of the framework that they are providing uh, within its theory about what are all those disciplines. So we start, for example, with the proper data governance that we already talked, but included as well, we have data architecture. That is nothing more, nothing less that defining the blueprint on how the data assets are going to be implemented across organization within the different layers of data architecture, and also how we are meeting those requirements. Then we go into data modeling and design that basically describes the process on to how to discover, do the data discovery, analyze the data, represent it, and communicate the results. I mean, most of you would have been working in the data modeling most important fact that is creating the structure of the data itself. That is also quite relevant. Then we go into data storage, and operations, basically how the data is stored on the different places depending on where we are working. And we have now all kind of possible storage, and in the evolution of currently on the data sphere, it's quite wide. So it is very important to have those definitions. We go again with data protection, security, privacy, risk management associated to the data, how the data moves from place to place. That's data integration and interoperability, or eventually how we do reference and master data management in order to define how the data is stored. Not how it is stored, but how it is defined in a cross way within organization in a univocally way. So we can continue with the data warehousing, how the structure should be, how the operation we should do, who is the owner of data. Most of you would have heard about data ownership concept. Also, and it's very relevant to nowadays that we are working with data ethics. It's of growing importance on nowadays world. How to operate with data responsibly, um, taking into account as well how data protection is currently working. As well, the data governance framework can work into how to assess the maturity of the data systems that we are implementing, defining the rules on how to measure the quality of data, or eventually defining how an organization should be modeled, how should it work towards having everything implemented. So coming into the next chapter, so we are going to talk a little bit about why we need to certificate on data governance. Actually, if you had already been hearing my message on the previous minutes, data governance has become a crucial component in the data-driven business environment that we are having. Most of the companies are claiming to be data-driven, and it is very important to become like that. But as well, it is very important that we are doing it right, that we are doing it in a way that we are not wasting our efforts, and that actually we are not just dying by overdoing, or eventually by overlapping what are those efforts. That's why it is very important to establish critical guidelines and protocols that will be used in order to ensure that the data that the organization is managing is accurate, is consistent, and as well it is secure. One of the most important words that we have nowadays on data, because we need to ensure that when decisions are taken based on reliable data that is high quality, but also the data that we can use based on the different regulations like we have with GDPR, HIPAA, or all those additional ones that we have all across the world. So does the meaning not only about becoming compliant with those requirements, but also we need to be ready to palliate whenever we have a data breach. We need to know how to act, how to operate. We need to define those policies. So data governance set up this framework in order to know what to do and who needs to do. It is very important that we know who needs to do what at any point, and not just doubt about who needs to assume the responsibility on one particular moment. This is something that data governance needs to include within its definition, and definitely it is helping organizations to move forward with managing of data and taking all the value out of the data assets. It implies that we are getting operational efficiency when we are operating with it. And there is one side effect of that. The stakeholders, the people that are really using the data in order to extract this value, need to trust the data that they are using. So it is very important as well that we have those procedures and ways of ensuring that the data is like that. It can be trusted, so that we can extract the value. But we're not going to talk only about what are the benefits that the company is going to obtain by doing those, by having this data governance properly established and also established by people that is certified in data governance, but it's also what are the benefits for the people that is getting certified. And one of the reasons as well why I ran this path in First Chance, one is that we are improving our theoretical expertise and technical skills. Here I can even tell from my personal angle that I had been working with data a long time before I started the path in data governance and data management. And I realized that I had a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience on things just scattered around. So the certification and the path into get the certification will give you the theory and also the practice in order to make sense of all that and have an organized career path or growth line that will help you just discover all those particular concepts that you want to work with. And just allow me this comment right now to say that as well to use the proper terminology. You would not imagine how many times some projects enter into deadlocks just because people is defining the very same concept with different names and different discussions appear. So it is very important to get a common framework in which the people is going to be working when talking about data governance. As well, for the personal angle, your career prospects are going to improve. Definitely, companies are starting to evaluate positively that people will get certified. I mean, not only on concepts like cloud computing or methodologies for delivery like Agile or PMP, also data governance is growing in importance within the market. Definitely, and people that is certified in these other disciplines will say you are not only enhancing your career prospects, but also aspiring for higher salaries. And your job will, of course, be more trusted, more credible, just because of the knowledge that you have acquired, what you have studied, and what you have done. And with data governance, it also happened like with any other discipline that as it is growing and evolving, you are forced to enter on the community of data, on the data sphere, on the data governance sphere, and then you will need to continue learning different things, different tools, different um, ways on how to implement the framework, because like in everything, there is not one single way on how everything needs to be implemented. And of course, being member of a community will open for you all the networking opportunities. I mean, there is a lot of really good people, and I can talk as well from EPAM side, a really good community of people that also work on data governance and that can help on or support mutually in order to develop different projects. And definitely, if you are not even looking for a career prospect or just a movement, you will contribute to your organization's growth by knowing all these things and helping to establish and that they are not forgotten. So now let's enter on the main point of the presentation that we are doing today, and it's talking about the main certifications available. Remember, I mentioned we are going to talk about 4 of them. We are going to talk about CDMP, we are going to talk about DCAM, also CIMP, and DGSP. So let's go with them. The first one is CDMP. So it's also named the Certified Data Management Professional, and it's expedited by Data Management Association International. So the key here about describing how to obtain this certification is that it can be obtained by directly presenting yourself to the exam. So courses are not mandatory, only optional. And in the web page that you would be able to find here on the bottom of the slide, if you are later on interested, there are even partners that can provide some courses, and they are listed there. So we're not talking about official concerts sanctioned by Data Management International, but at least they add them and recognize them within the page. The membership into the community is not required just prior to the certification, but once you get certified, it's definitely advisable to belong to the community. And in essence, all the information that you would require for the exam is condensed in one book. This DM book version 2, that's the current one available, it can be obtained in multiple pages by purchasing it either on PDF, or eventually you can demand your physical copy. Just to get the practitioner level, so, well, the associate level, that is the first one, you just need to do one exam and be able to present 6 months of relevant experience. There is a path or growth that is associated to it. So basically you can go into practitioner, master, and you just need to pass different exams with a specific level of or mark in order to get it. The average cost that we will have for virtual trainings, it is said to be $1,500, and the exam current price is $311. So actually, you could obtain the full associate level certification for less than $400, because you need to still show and prove your 6 months experience. And here are all the links about all the exams and specializations that you can obtain. My personal opinion when talking about CDMP is that it is a very popular framework that is established globally. One of the advantages is that all the information that you need is compiled in one single book. Um, Worthless to say, the book is 700 pages, so it's quite extensive, but at the end of the day is quite good. The framework that is being established is quite rigid, but is one that is also aligned with different regulations on the market. Even the terminology is quite similar, if not the same, with the one that you will find in the banking or insurance industry as the most used one. And all those standards that are even proposed as examples within the book are very much the same that you will find on those regulations, on those books. So continuing with the next, so we go into DCAM. This one is called Data Management Capability Assessment Model, and is expedited by the data management community, the Data Management Council. This is also quite popular, probably as popular as we have CDMP on the market. But in this particular one, the courses to be done are mandatory, and they are aligned with exams. There are 2 options that you can follow. You can go online or eventually offline. I mean, there are companies that can get the possibility to involve EDM Council in order to perform those courses. The membership is not required in order to even obtain the patch, but it is very much advisable. So you will find along the process, in order to even make the exam, many blogs about accessing to the relevant information like books or just the former exams and so on, if you are not a member. So strictly not mandatory, but really advisable, and definitely something that you will need to do. Then the framework that is available only for members, as I was mentioning, and it is endorsed, by this community, as well as many other certifications. So we are not talking about DCAM only. I mean, there is possibility to do certifications in the other spheres of data, like eventually data stewardship. There is one certification that they are also including there. And currently, one of the frameworks or the possibilities to obtain this certification and perform the trainings is elearningcurve.com. That is the main recommended one for those trainings, and we will review later because particular other certification, the CIMP, is expedited by this elearningcurve.com organization. The cost for those virtual trainings, and let's focus on virtual because it's quite difficult to get them out of the US, unless the company is organizing for you. It is between $1,300 dollars and $2,000. Worthless to say, I mean, EDM community, it is comprised, or the members of it are the most clever and names across the data governance and data management world. So here it is, this information. Now, again, coming into my personal evaluation of it, the DCAM framework is also globally recognized, like it happens with the CDMP. It is a very rigid framework, extremely rigid, and but it is actually adjusting well to the new demands on the security, on big data, and other disciplines. So the community is very active in order to evolve this framework. So DCAM is the content and the information that you need to study in order to obtain this badge is going to or is growing continuously, adapting to the new world and the new tendencies that we have on the data sphere. The exams are done after those mandatory trainings. The trainings are taken like 2 to 4 days. So we are not talking about self-driven trainings, but we are talking about a presential one. And they include quite a practical approach, the trainings, not the certification itself, that of course it's quite theoretical. So moving into the next one, CIMP. So, and I would get the moment again to remind that we have a question and answer time at the end of the presentation, and to encourage you to present or to write there some of your questions. And I do hope that we will have the necessary time in order to talk about them and to present them. So CIMP, Certified Information Management Professional. So this is expedited by elearningcurve.com, and it is industrialization, if I may use the word, of DCAM, and extension in order to include additional content not strictly related to data governance. Actually, it's quite interesting. And here, the different packages that the page is offering are very interesting and includes multiple modules. One of those modules on many of those packages is precisely DCAM. So the courses are mandatory and quite pricey, but it is starting to gain some space on the market, mainly because they are endorsed by the people from the EDM Council, what is actually quite relevant. So there is possibility with those packages to really grow onto multiple aspects and multiple angles of the data sphere, not only talking about data governance or data management. And also it is very possible to get specialized on multiple lines, on multiple disciplines of the ones that we were talking before. Of course, the cost on this case, they grow and quite ostensibly, because the packages goes in price from $2,000 to $5,000, and eventually the platform is open for you 2 or 3 years in order to continue working. Here we are talking about more self-driven courses at the pure style of online platforms, and additionally you will need to pay $100 per each one of the exams. Those packages we are talking contains 5 to 10 or even 20 modules. If you go into the full package, the one that is costing $5,000, so you need to add on top what is this price of exam. There is no requirement for being a member, but definitely it is encouraged that you become member of the DCAM community because it is intimately associated. And last but not least, the platform is super interesting. I mean, it's very useful. And for the people that is familiar with other learning platforms, like it can be Udemy or DataCamp, so we are talking about that level of quality on the platform. So it's a guarantee of good content because actually the content is endorsed, and also good execution because the platform is quite rich and quite well built. As a summary, this is industrialization of the DCAM framework, as I was mentioning before, and its focus is less theoretical, like it could happen with DCAM or with CDMP, but it's extremely practical. It is based on this rigid framework of the CAM, but actually it provides within its content with multiple templates that you can bring to your own organization in order to extend them and to use them. So quite flexible, we should say. And the trainers, of course, and the endorsement of EDM is very important. And when you start seeing the names of the people that are providing those materials, definitely you relate them with all the people that not only they are signing on the Dhamma book, on the DM book, but also they are providing all the publications that you can see on the theory across multiple platforms. I mean, whenever you need to read about something new on that area, all those names are associated to the EDM Council. So that's the main reason why CIMP is quite interesting. And last but not least, and I wanted to include something that is even more practical than CEMP, is the DGSP, Data Governance and Data Stewardship Professional. This is provided by an old friend of the whole computing programming community, and this is the Institute of Certification for the Computer Programming. They contain, of course, multiple certification, not only related to data. You can here find certification that goes from just developers on Java, Python, any kind of tool, to certification on the security architecture and other things. So definitely one platform that is quite popular within the computer programming community as such, an IT community. Here the courses are mandatory and self-learning is there available. We need to be members if we want to proceed with it. And they change recently how the certification is obtained. And now you just need to do one exam after you do the mandatory course that can be this time self-learning. And when I mean this time is that from the moment I did my initial analysis about those certification, they change the process in order to obtain it. And eventually they have make it lower demanding, so it is easier to take it. So the practitioner level, it's just in this case it's requiring 2 years of experience that you need to prove over the community. The exam cost on this case, taking into account that you would do the self-study course, is $475 literally. And then if you are going to do just with the online courses, presential with a trainer that will be conducting them, we're talking about $1,500. And as mentioned, ICCP is providing a very good platform not to do only that one, but multiple other certifications. So certified data governance and stewardship professional, it's a really good recognized certification across the community, but in this case acknowledged as very practical and actually very much associated with the data stewardship. That is one of the most important roles on the data governance and data management community. Another point that is emphasized on the ICCP webpage is about the possibility to adapt to the multiple industries. In this case, it is industry driven, and you can get a specialization in industry like finance or pharma, telco, and so on and so on. And then there is, of course, as we were mentioning, separation between data governance and data management. The specific focus or the main focus of this certification is on the data management. It's actually on the execution itself, becoming the most practical of all. So we just move and get the 4 certifications on a table. So we have CDMP, DCAM, CIMP, and the final DGSP that we will get on the right side. And I've decided to just make this evaluation or summary between the popularity that you can have on the or currently on the data sphere market, then whether the theory content is relevant or what is the level of relevance, whether it is practical, if it includes a lot of practical exercise, whether the framework can adapt easily, I mean the framework that it is provided, how much dependency you have on the platform that you are using in order to obtain the certification, what is the upgrade speed, how easy is that this content will be upgraded, and also if the platform allows you to have a career path that grows more than data governance in order to make like an invitation for you to keep on growing. And later on, price, of course, for the basic certification, and labeling as with the top mark or the top stars, the ones that are, I mean, less pricey in order to obtain it. So talking about this, the summary, we will say that when we are talking about popularity, the CDMP and the CAM are winning as well as owning the theory over the market about how they look like. But then the one that are mainly practical, as we were mentioning, are CIMP and CDGSP. So those are the ones that provides a better framework. Another value of the adaptability of the framework in this case is that, well, DCAM framework is more rigid than the one that we have in the CDMP. I will keep on insisting that this is my personal evaluation of it based on the discovery that I did over the certification, and that some other professionals may think a little bit different out of it. But just apologies in advance if we are having some discrepancies, and we could connect later and have a deeper discussion about it if somebody consider. In my personal opinion, the dependency that, or at least the possibility to just use the not the platform itself, but that you can't develop by yourself and obtain by yourself the certification. The best is in CDMP because you do not need to do any particular training. You just need to present yourself to the exam and then execute it. While in DCAM in CIMP, definitely you need the platform to also do the training and execute. And CDGSP, the dependency is a little bit lower than in the case of DCAM and CIMP. Upgrade, definitely CIMP is the most active one in upgrading and adapting the new things that are coming into the market, while DCAM or CDGSP are one step just below. For career platform, definitely I would recommend always CIMP if you want to really grow on your career in multiple angles, not only on the data governance one. While if we are going into a cheapest, if I could call it, definitely the CDMP is the cheapest one of all of them. So continuing already to the conclusions or eventually to my particular path to the CDMP, that I do hope that it could serve as a good point for the people that wants to follow it and actually to obtain all the required knowledge in order to excel in data governance. These are my advices. I mean, if you want to obtain CDMP, the most important thing is that all the content is in the DMBOK version 2, the current one available. In this link that you will see on this page, you can go directly to the data management webpage where they will tell you how you can obtain it, or even the shops. Personally, I obtain it in Amazon. So it's perfectly possible to buy it on Amazon through the regular vendors. Then there is a list of all the courses available. If you are still not looking for self-learning on the traditional style with the book, then you can go to those courses. And here it is the list of courses provided. You as well can access. It is on the web page from DAMA, and eventually they are graded according to the to how good or how much rewarded they are. The term, how long would it take for some person to obtain this certification? So let's just mention that at a good pace, because we are talking about 700 pages and it's very much theoretical content. The reading of the book can take 3-4 weeks. So the a proposal from my side could be that you just slice how many chapters do you want to read every day or eventually every week in order to not to continue focusing attention while you are adding. As well, there are sample exams on the webpage, and there are sample exams as well on some of the platforms that provide courses. So it is also advisable if you want to make some of them. The exam is completely online. It's HonorLog platform that is quite popular on this kind of certifications, and we're talking about 100 multi-choice questions that can be completed on 90 plus 20 minutes. 90 if you claim to be a native speaker of English, and there is 20 additional minutes that they give as an allowance for the people that is not native speaker. So actually, it is the duration that you are going to have on the exam. And yeah, the certification at badges, of course, you have the associate certificate, that is the first one, but then you can obtain that with the fundamentals exam, and then 6 months experience to be proven on the platform. The experience is proven on the traditional style. You provide your resume to the honor log, not to the honor log, but to the platform that is going to evaluate. You need to pay a fee, and they will evaluate your relevant experience out of your resume, and also validating that your experience is not only relevant but also that is valid. Of course, levels that comes after, like practitioner, master, or fellow, include at least two additional badges to be obtained, two additional exams to be passed, and the minimum experience to be recognized is 2 years for practitioner, and it keeps on growing. And last but not least, so my personal advice is to the people that wants to have this is if you want to obtain this certification, please schedule your time before the exam. Just put a deadline in which you want to get it, and slice and dice the book reading, and also if you are going to add some exams and so on, because theoretical content and our regular rhythm of work, it's quite complicated to handle in order to make this possible. So it is much better if you are able to schedule. As well, I would encourage the people to do at least a couple of readings of the book, because once you read it on the second time and after doing some trial exams, you will start getting more ideas about what are the questions looking like and what is demanded. And take into account that if you are already working with data governance and data management, many of the things are going to sound something into your mind, and you are going to need to change some of the definition that you have. So it is better that you have a second reading. Of course, when you are doing the trial exams, just measure your pace in order to see how you are reacting to the exam. Take into account that 100 minutes, 100 questions, we're talking about a little bit more than 1 minute per question. And it is important that you read adequately. You have the exam possibility to take it while you, sorry, to have the book together with you while you are taking the exam. So it is also quite important that you mark your book with the most relevant definitions if you want to work on it. And yeah, my recommendation based on the trial exams that I've already made is that you assure responses. I mean, not all the questions, but most of the questions are talking about definition. Just assure your responses on that, and then you can continue. And with this, we are finishing the content of the presentation and we proceed on the next minutes for the Q&A.
Yeah, thank you, Ismail, for your presentation. Well, now let's move to the questions. We have them many. So, yeah, maybe first question is, whom do you recommend this certification? So, how do you think, like senior developer, are they proper persons to get this certification, or it's only for managers? So, what's your opinion?
Definitely, if a senior developer obtains the certification, it's going to understand better what are the different questions that needs to operate with. So actually, I would recommend the certification from senior developer in advance, especially if they have a perspective to continue growing on their career. But it's whenever the developer is deciding that doesn't want to just do software engineering, but wants to go a little bit farther on the data world. Of course, for managers, it's something that I definitely encourage for delivery managers and even for project managers that are working with data. It's quite relevant.
Yeah, thank you. One more question. Is data governance role a technical coding based role, or it's a functional business based role? Or maybe it's some mix?
Well, at the end of the day, it's always a kind of mix. But over the paper, the data governance role is purely administrative, if I should say, because we are talking about an oversight function mainly. But it is very difficult that a person is doing only data governance. It ends as well understanding and collaborating with establishing the guidelines on how data professionals are working. So it is very important as well to do some, not coding, but at least intervention on the designing of the data models or eventually on how to track different things. But in essence, data governance role is an oversight role and comes to be a bit administrative.
Mhm. And could you give maybe an example where data governance ensures good data quality while it doesn't slow down the delivery?
Yeah, and it is a very tricky one because eventually we can end in controversy. What data governance will do towards data quality is establish what are the dimensions that you want to check in order to ensure that the data is complete, that the data is accurate, and will provide guidelines in how to do it. As well, it will provide to the developers who is the person to contact in order to have a definition. So yes, in one hand side, it can slow down the developers because it's forcing developers to implement certain things. But in the other hand side, it is not only improving quality, but also reducing the times until you get the people that needs to provide the definition, because those are the data owners, or eventually will define the concept of data steward. That is the person that will assist the developer whenever there is a doubt. Then the developer is not alone, and this excess of work will get compensated with the wasted time that you have otherwise.
And yeah, probably one more question about certification process itself. How did you, or how people can prove their experience, work experience?
Mhm. Yeah, at least I mean, and it's general on all those platforms that I was talking about. Generally, you provide your resume, and in the resume, you are describing which role you operated and also what are your the duties that you have while operating this role. And then you pay a fee, and then the community that is behind is going to do the validation of your experience. It's regular practice on the certification sphere.
Maybe do you need somehow to get some email from your manager to prove it, or
Not needed on this case. At least on CDMP, that is the one
Mhm.
where I wrote it. I just needed to provide my resume, and it was enough.
Okay. Yeah, we have very interesting question like uh, why do you need to pass the certification itself in general, since it's all very well documented and accessible in ChatGPT? You probably can ask, just write a proper question. So why do you need to learn everything?
Taking into account that still ChatGPT, we need to put into evaluation whatever they say, because yeah, definitely it can be a very good way of obtaining this. obtaining the certification, as I was mentioning on the presentation, it's like obtaining a badge. It's like obtaining the recognition that you have been evaluated and that you can provide those answers. Definitely, ChatGPT can provide you response because it will navigate on the web and find what is the response in itself. But you also need to have your practical experience and your practical thinking on how the things are done in the final way. And by reviewing the theory and by passing the exam, you will be able to grab those concepts and that experience.
Yeah, you also mentioned several books and courses. And in your opinion, is it enough just to read a book, or courses give better preparation for the exam? I mean, for the process and for the questions. Yeah.
Mhm. For passing the exam, it is enough with the DMPOC. I mean, for CDMP, is definitely sufficient. Uh, at least for me, it was like that. I also did personally some courses on Udemy that helped me to get into speed more than getting into theory, because the theory was the same, is getting into speed and have like a possibility to run a calendar, because normally with the regular rhythm of work, it's quite complicated to find this time. So that is also something that could be encouraging. But on top of that, if you decide to dedicate yourself to this field, it is very important that you keep yourself updated, and it is convenient that you are following publications and that you are reading the different trends from other people on the market. I mean, different ideas on how to perform things. So yes, for obtaining the certification, I mean, the book is sufficient, but if you want to continue growing, I would encourage to read more and to practice more.
Mhm. Yeah, and probably my last question. So, what's the purpose of passing exams in general? What's the purpose of these certifications? Yeah, maybe probably most people think that this is just a piece of paper. So why do I need it? Yeah, is it really like valuable? So
I
yeah,
must
because
admit that some years ago I was thinking the same, so I recognize that. And for the ones that are thinking the same, I will tell you what path I did. Is that while obtaining the certification, you are obtaining as well or gaining a lot of knowledge. So just don't take it as a paper. That at the end of the day, the paper is very much recognized for companies and for vendors and clients and so on. But additionally, because in the process to obtain, you need to learn. So it's like when you go to university and you obtain your degree, your master's degree. In order to obtain it, you definitely need to study. So it is not the paper itself, it's what you do in order to obtain the paper.
yeah, thank you. And that concludes our session. Thank you very much for joining us today. We hope you found the session very insightful and inspiring. In the video description below, you'll find a link to the talk page where you can provide a feedback for this talk, give speaker a badge, and rate the session if you like or dislike it. So your feedback is very helpful for us. And additionally, if you'd like to revisit this video, or you can also download the presentation file on this talk page and find all these useful links that Ismael has shared with us. So thank you very much, Ismael, for coming to us today. We could not do it without you. And once again, thank you all for your participation and engagement and support. We look forward to seeing you on our next sessions. And until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep exploring the world of data. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Thank you, Alexander. Goodbye. Goodbye, all.